Do this one time with one life lived niche, and you'll go from overwhelmed mom being slapped with mom guilt at every turn to overjoyed and changing lives and making money and providing for your family. Hey y'all, welcome to the Mompreneur Life podcast. I'm your host, Lori Templeton, and today I'm going against all the typical marketing advice that you've heard about niching down and speaking to your ideal target client. Your life and all the complex components of it does not equal one niche, and I'm going to show you how to monetize all of it. Since the dawn of the internet, the marketing landscape has changed drastically, and it continues to evolve on a regular basis. We went from having absolutely no type of online presence to the development of the World Wide Web, to having websites, to writing blogs, to making videos, to developing funnels, to niching down and finding your avatar so that you can speak directly to that one ideal target client with your message. Guess what? That's a flawed formula, and it leads to procrastinating entrepreneurs who sit stagnant because they can't get that one message right to that one person that they have to come up with. This theory is one of the most dangerous in the online entrepreneurial space today. Now, as I say with everything else, this is my opinion based on my experience. That's exactly what every piece of advice that you get, every method, every strategy from everyone out there, that's what it is. It's their opinion based on the experiences that they've had. And let's be real, all right? For a lot of them, when they are telling you to niche down, they are just simply repeating what they've heard someone teach in another course. Now, if you go out and hire a legit marketing agency, not an online guru claiming to know how to market, then what you'll find are experts telling you to develop at least 3 to 5 buyer personas for your business. Then they will walk you through developing a thorough avatar for each one. But they will never have you niche down to just one persona or avatar or whatever you want to call it. Do you know why? Because they know that if you have a good brand with a business model that moves beyond the traction phase, then you have multiple targets that you need to be reaching. Do you think Coke has one avatar? No, they have multiple. What about Nike? No to that again. They don't have one avatar. So if big name companies don't operate this way, why do you? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit a home run with this, I hope. And let me tell you how to take your life lived testimony and share it with the world in a way that not only changes the lives of other people, but changes your life and the lives of your family as well. Are you ready for this? Every area of your story, your life, your testimony is a niche. Everything you've been through and overcome, every ounce of knowledge and wisdom that you've gained is a niche. Now, you probably have at least 5 niches in your life that can be monetized in some way. The digital world is giving people a platform like they've never had before to be able to share their stories with the world so that lives get wrecked and changed forever, and people can be more of who they're made to be because they hear your story and borrow courage from your healing. Why do you think cancel culture exists? Because the enemy realized what he's done with creating something that, yes, distracts us most of the time, but it reaches the world. And now he wants to take out the courageous people who are willing to step out and share Jesus and their transformed lives with the world. Anyway, that's another topic for another day. I'll probably do a soapbox issue on that. But the reality is that your life lived is full of niches that you can step into and monetize in big ways. Listen, with the digital space, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to make extra money on the side and scale it pretty big. Now, if you're like, yeah, Lori, I've done that, but I can't scale it, then be sure to hang out with me in the Facebook group or on the YouTube channel, because I'm here giving all the tips and tricks and secrets away. No gatekeeping, just value so that you can grow your business, okay? If you need more help, join one of our one-on-one weekly coaching sessions, and I'll be sure to zero in on what you need to grow and scale your business, okay? And the same for those of you who are trying to figure out where to start. My team and I are here to hold your hand if you need it, but no, there is no reason that you can't be making an extra $3,000 a month minimum from one niche of your life. I realize I'm sitting here telling you this as someone who's done it and been traveling and speaking for years, but if I can get paid to share my story on stages, so can you. If I can write a book about my experiences, so can you. If I can sell a course because God gave me a passion to help other women, so can you. If I can build a YouTube channel and get hundreds of thousands of views on my story and knowledge shared, so can you. If I can teach others with knowledge I've gained and get paid for it, so can you. If I can create a devotional that helps people grow, so can you. And if I can get monetized on social platforms by sharing content, so can you. Do you see the pattern here? The list keeps going, and all of these ways I just mentioned are monetized avenues of me sharing my life lived and knowledge gained with the world. And if I could tell you anything, it's that I wish I would have started sooner. I was approached 18 years ago about starting a radio show and podcast, but you know why I didn't? I didn't understand it. I wasn't in the mindset to take the time to learn. The first time someone paid me $5,000 to share my story on a stage, I was blown away. I mean, it's just my story, my life lived, my healing and trauma journey and recovery. And you're going to pay me for that? When women began offering to pay me to coach them, I couldn't believe it. But they just saw what I was doing and how I was living my life, and they wanted guidance. Then to write things that people actually wanted to read and pay to read, those are just thoughts. Those are just my stories of my life and me sharing my knowledge that I've gained. It's crazy, but it's real. And it's waiting for you too, if you just step out and do it. So realize that every part of your testimony is a niche that can be monetized. Once you realize that and you say, okay, how can I do this? We're going to figure this out. I'm going to help you walk through 3 quick steps to monetize your story and your passion and your purpose. First, you're going to go through your story and you're going to label it out. Seriously, put labels on the seasons of your life, okay? Now, you're probably going to want to write this down just so we're clear, okay? So the first thing that you're doing is writing out the seasons of your life and putting labels on them. So for me, it would be elementary and middle school bullying, then an abusive dating relationship as a teenager. Mixed in with all of that would have to be the trauma and betrayal and dealing with, talking through believing in who I was after a destroyed self-image. Another area would be marriage and communication and the volatility that exists when you have unhealed people who get married. Then actually surrendering my life to Christ and the journeys that it led me on. Then stepping into my purpose on a big level by starting and growing a nonprofit and reaching millions of people and having the desire to help others to do that as well. Then comes my mom era, right? So the labels here would be pregnant and birth, along with unexplained infertility and multiple losses, and then walking with God on a journey of faith like I never knew. Tagging on to that is kind of in the same area, but a different label of what birth is really supposed to look like for women according to scripture, and the desire to correct that so that women know birth doesn't have to be excruciatingly painful and they can enjoy pregnancy and birth and life as a new mom. So then you have my whole 20-year entrepreneurial journey and the lessons that I've learned there, the knowledge that I've gained, and to grow multi-million-dollar companies. And so then you have my baking journey and learning to use fresh ground flour and no longer having any white flour in my home. And then you have my lifestyle and my desire to travel with my kids. Then you have my desire to help people find passive income streams and tuck that away in their family plan. And of course, a lot of this wraps up into my passion of the Momprenista brand, right? So to help moms grow and scale their businesses while doing all the mom things and loving it. And that's not all, but I'm going to stop there. Like I could keep listing out and labeling out the seasons of my life, but I'm going to stop there. That's 12, you guys. That's 12 different niches in my life. 12 different monetization avenues that exist just because of my life lived. Now, all of those are monetized. Not all of those are monetized for me, but several of them are. But go with me here for a second, okay? What if each one brings in $500 a month? That's $6K a month and $72,000 extra a year. Do you know how easy it is to make $500 from something in the online space these days? Like, seriously easy. So here's what you have to do. You have to look at why you would want this and what you would want it to do. So what could this do for you? It can give you vacation money or pay off your house. It can be the start of a new career that allows you to stay home with your kids. It can give you a platform that allows you to make money and dynamically shift the lives of people in your wake. All right. So answer those questions for yourself. What could this do for me? And do I want to step into this and do something? And so after you've labeled these niches and decided if you actually want to step into something for yourself, label the niches, and then you have to go through your life. And this is the second step. Step number 2 is you have to pick a place to start. You can't just start with all of them. You'll get overwhelmed and fail. I'm speaking from experience here. Okay. So how do you pick? Well, we will pick the easiest one for you to talk about. That's where we'll start. What do people ask your advice about? What do people say? Tell me how you dealt with this. What do people say? What are your soapbox issues? What do you love to stand around and talk for hours about? That's where you start. That's your first niche. Then you walk through your stories and timeline in that niche and you get some questions. And this is what we walk our clients through. We walk our clients through this exact same process to help figure out, what these things are and write these down. You need to write these down so you can start your journey. Okay. Where did you start? What happened to you? Why did that subject intrigue you or affect you? What did it change in your life? How does knowing this information that you've learned change other people's lives? Who needs to know this info? How will your story help people or allow people to live differently? And so, yes, we ask some questions 3 to 5 different ways because that will activate different parts of your brain and your memory to get the answers out of you so that you get the most comprehensive story timeline out of doing all this. Okay. Now, the third thing that you do is get your messaging on point. I've been coaching people to tell their stories for over 20 years, and here's what I've learned. Whether it's another speaker learning to share their story from a stage or a business owner trying to reach their audience, most people have no idea how to communicate their message with their ideal target clients or their buyer personas. Most of the time, when speakers or business owners start out trying to convey their message, they start by telling people what they think people want to hear, not realizing how much vital information and crucial language is actually being left out. So let me tell you how I learned to share my story when I first started public speaking and, and sharing any part of my testimony, really. So I was encouraged to do so by my high school speech teacher, and she was my forensics coach as well. She knew I had been in an abusive dating relationship, and she encouraged me to do an informative speech on the topic of teenage dating violence without any component of my story in it. So this forced me to only look up the facts around the topic, and it took me completely out, like my story, it took me completely out of this, right? Now, this was prior to Google. And so I'm really dating myself here, but think like microfiche and index cards, right? So now after I gave that informative speech in her classroom, she just kind of threw me to the wolves, but I so appreciated it. So she said, hey, I have this teacher over in another county. She teaches an all-girls health class. Would you want to go over there and share your story? So I did, in conjunction with the information that I had gathered. And let me tell y'all, that talk was messy. It was ugly. It was not composed. It was not professional. It was fumbling around and stuttering and being really unsure of myself. But I did it. And at the end, I gave the students time to ask questions. And do you know what that did? That brought out more of the story. That brought out the language they needed to understand and how to apply the lessons in their lives that they were learning. Now, granted, I was a 17-year-old kid at this time, and I didn't realize what was happening, okay? I didn't realize this was molding me into becoming a better speaker. It was helping me become who I needed to be to teach other people how to share their stories as well. So that health teacher then told another health teacher about my presentation, and I started school hopping. And guess what happened? I started taking cues from the kids who were asking questions because I realized that the language they were using to ask the questions was the language they needed to hear me tell my story in so that they could digest it easier. And the missing components that I was leaving out were elements they needed for deeper understanding. So then I'd go back after each one and I'd tweak my presentation and my story a little bit. So I'm going to be real and I'm going to say this took a few years to figure out because I never had any training in public speaking and I had no one guiding me. So my years of trial and error and learning by being thrown to the wolves, it mattered not only for me, but it mattered for the people that I've been privileged to train and sharing their stories too, and in helping businesses learn how to get their messages on point to reach more clients and make more sales. Okay. But you have to actually be talking to people and hearing them respond to you and ask questions in order to get your messaging on point. So let's recap here. You are designed with a purpose carved into you. Every part of your testimony is a niche that you can monetize. Just make sure that you're in a healing journey with it, okay? I've trained speakers who weren't healed in what they wanted to talk about, and it's really ugly and it's really messy. And you don't really need to be doing that unless you are on a healing journey for this. Okay. So, you don't have to wait until you're completely healed though, right? You just have to be on a journey because it matters. Do you know how many broken people God used to do his work? Like, look that up in scripture. Sometimes the story of your journey matters. People need to see things evolve over time to understand the process. And if you rob people of seeing that journey, they're going to be too afraid to take the next step. All right. So that's one of the reasons that I'm really getting ready to walk through building brands in real time with you all so that you can see the journey, because there's a lot of times people think that, there's this magic poof that happens or whatever, people are just successful or things just fall into place. They don't see the hustle and the grind behind the scenes and in the background. There's always going to be work, and to get to where you need to be, you're supposed to do that work, but you have to graduate the grind. And being in the grind and the hustle is not a place that you're supposed to stay forever, but there is grind and hustle to get there. So make sure you're following along in our Facebook group. Make sure you're following along and subscribe to the YouTube channel to be able to take notes on exactly how we're going to build these brands, because this is going to help you build your brand. All right. And I want nothing more than for you to succeed. This mompreneur lifestyle is all about encouraging you to be you, to walk in the gifts that you've been given, and to find avenues to provide for your family with those gifts. You weren't given gifts to sit still or to do it all for free. You were given talents and a purpose to change lives, to leave a legacy, and you can make money doing it. The idea that ministry is always supposed to be free is really keeping God's people poor, when the reality is that his desire is to bless you and provide for you in ways that you can't even imagine. And that's not prosperity gospel, because I don't roll like that. It's scripture. And when you dig deep to uncover that truth, your mind goes and you start to see so many different things for your life and for others' lives. So the first thing that you're doing is your timeline, your testimonies, okay? You're going to timeline out your testimonies, and then you're going to go through your life, finding all the possible niches that are there. Then you're asking questions about each one to uncover the divine purpose and destiny behind them. Then you're selecting your first niche and getting your story down. And then you're going to refine that message to produce a product or a service that reaches your customers and communicates with them in a language they relate to, because it's the same speak they use to vent to their friends or their spouses or coworkers. And then you're going to advertise it, and you're going to market your brand to those who need your kind of fix. And it doesn't matter if anyone else is doing this, because people need you. They need your voice, and people are going to relate to different people differently. Not everyone relates to me, even though I have their fix. Not everyone relates to me. All right. Do this one time with one life lived niche. and you'll see how easy it is. Then you'll go from overwhelmed mom trying to make all this side business stuff work while being slapped with mom guilt at every turn to feeling overjoyed that you can finally share your story and your products with the world, knowing that you're changing lives while actually making money and providing for your family. This is where the stories come from, y'all. This is when you see people sharing that they changed their lives with one small decision. This is the one. This is what they're talking about. That feeling that you have right now in your heart where it's beating faster and you're knowing that you're called to more, knowing that you can make this business work, that you have a feeling, right? That there's a difference that you can make. But here's the deal. The difference between them and you is that they acted on it in that instant. They didn't let the opportunity pass them by. And I'm encouraging you, grab you a pen, grab some paper if you haven't already, and listen to this podcast again. If you need to take notes, then start doing it and begin your journey now. Be sure that you're in the Facebook group and be sure that, you're subscribed on the YouTube page, because this is where we're getting ready to dive deep. And this could be the catalyst that you need to finally see it all coming together. I love you all, and I hope you have a fantastic week. And I can't wait to watch you step fully into the mompreneur life that you are waiting for. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and I will catch you next week. Bye.